Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.
From Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with the editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Riegel. It's business Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Riegel. Welcome to Out to Lunch. Living in the shadows of one of the great tourist destinations of the country, if not the world, Baton Rouge isn't typically thought of as a hot spot for the leisure traveler. But that has started to change in recent years as the city and industry associations have begun marketing Baton Rouge more aggressively as a place not only to come do business in the state capitol or watch LSU football, but also to come play. With me today to discuss this is Paul Arrigo, the longtime president of Visit Baton Rouge, the city's Convention and Visitors Bureau. Visit Baton Rouge is funded by the city's 6% hotel-motel tax. The organization gets 4 cents of that, and the other 2 goes to the Raising Cane's River Center. With that money, the organization promotes and markets Baton Rouge as a destination for both the leisure and business traveler and convention groups. Paul has been at the helm of Visit Baton Rouge a long time, though he is actually a New Orleanian who served as a regional sales director for the New Orleans Metropolitan Convention and Visitors Bureau, as it was called back then, before opening and operating that agency's Washington, D.C. office for several years. He joined Visit Baton Rouge in 1997 and has been president and CEO since 2002. Paul,
That's right.
It's great to have you here.
It's great
Thanks
to
for
be
joining
here.
us. And with me and Paul at the table is Ben Blackwell, general manager of the Courtyard Marriott, one of the newest hotels located right in the heart of downtown. When the Courtyard opened in September 2018, it brought the number of downtown hotel rooms to more than 1,000, which was a key goal of downtown and tourism industry leaders alike. Ben has served in management roles in several other local hotels before moving over to the Courtyard Marriott. He also serves as president of the premier industry association in the field locally, the Louisiana Hotel Motel Association. He is also a former president of the Baton Rouge Lodging Association, so he's very familiar and knowledgeable about the market, a longtime veteran as well. So Ben, it's great to have you here with us today. We can talk about the status of tourism in Baton Rouge. And Paul, I wanted to start with you. Visit Baton Rouge is funded by the hotel motel tax. As I mentioned, it was increased by voters in 2017.
That's right.
Where does that money go? What is Baton Rouge getting for its tax
Well,
money?
thank you. As you know, we are totally funded by a hotel tax, which is for the most part is paid by visitors to the area. The additional 2%, which was voted by vote of the people last December, went into effect a year ago here in April. That one half of which goes to the Raising Cane River Center for their renovations, any expansions, and any work that's needed over there. The other 1% comes to Visit Baton Rouge. You would like to know where that money's being
Right.
spent. Okay, we have determined to put together plans over the course of the next several years to pursue certain large conventions, conferences, events, such as Bayou Country Superfest. We've got something called Travel South coming in next year. We also incentivize certain groups that have a certain value to the city. And we look at the value of events, conventions, visitation, et cetera, and do certain things to enhance those events in Baton Rouge and to pursue them, certainly with bids. And perfect example is next couple of weeks we'll have the regional soccer tournament, which is a $150,000 project.
And it was huge to get Bayou Country Superfest back here after it left for New Orleans for a
Right.
couple of years and was in the Superdome there. How significant is that event to this market?
Well, I think it does a couple things. One, it reopened the thought of bringing something to Tiger Stadium other than a football game, which I think was one of our goals. The other thing is to bring the event back to Baton Rouge over Memorial Day weekend when we need rooms filled, when we have empty hotel rooms, and the national and international publicity. We've got people coming in from all over the world, the Bayou Country Superfest.
It's great branding. Well, and speaking of hotel rooms, Ben, the Courtyard Marriott was a really significant project for downtown. Added 130-something rooms, I believe.
135.
to the market brought us up over 1,000. How is the hotel doing since it opened in the fall of 2018? And how's the downtown hotel market?
Sure. The hotel's doing well. It can always do better. Don't get me wrong, you're never going to be satisfied, but it's doing well. The downtown market is also doing well. We really appreciate Bayou Country Superfest coming back because, as Paul said, Baton Rouge is a great market. You're having a lot of leisure travelers coming in, but big holiday events, most people want to go to the beach, different places like that. And having an event such as Bayou Country Superfest over Memorial Day weekend really brings in the travelers and businesses and really helps the market in general.
Now, I know that y'all are you're cheerleaders for downtown. You're in the hospitality industry. So, and not just for downtown, but for the hotel market in general. So, but I'm asking you to be as honest with me as you can. Okay, are we overbuilt here? Do we have too many hotel rooms, or is there enough business to fill what's out there right now?
I will say this: over the last couple of years, we've had a tremendous amount of hotels. Certainly over 1,000 built in Ascension Parish and across the river, which is now drawing some of that commercial plant business that we used to get, the industrial plant business. Do we have too many hotels? You never have too many on the right weekends, and some weekends you have too. It's a very perishable product. I think the quality of hotels has increased over the last several years, and certainly now we're down to 3 or 4 brands. So we don't have too many at the right time. Do we have too many spread out? In a perfect world, I would like to have closer proximity of the properties.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ben, the group that you work for also owns the Hampton Inn, a
Correct.
few blocks away. Mm-hmm. They opened in 2016. Is it the same market as the Courtyard, and are you cannibalizing yourself, or how does that work? Or is it great having 2 properties close by because you can?
It's great having 2 properties close by. The Hampton opened. It's been open 6 years now. We opened May of 2013. I actually opened that property, and you've got Hilton, and you've got people that are loyal to the Hilton brand, and you've got people that are loyal to the Marriott brand, which is Courtyard. And
That's
with
true.
Marriott buying, Starwood, you actually bring in another loyalty brand with Starwood Reward into the Marriott new Bonvoy program. So you're not really cannibalizing yourself. And Hampton and Courtyard are really 2 different, properties. Courtyard is more marketed towards your millennial who like to sit at the bar, work, by themselves.
Really?
Hampton is more of your family-oriented, things like that.
Okay, I didn't realize that. How does the Baton Rouge, visitor market break out in terms of leisure traveler versus business traveler, versus those who are here for specific events like the soccer tournament or the bowling congress?
Right. We are finding that a leisure market is growing, and it's very difficult to define these markets. When somebody checks into a hotel, if they got soccer gear on them, well, you put 2 and 2 together, they're soccer players. If they're in a business suit or a woman or man dressed as such, they're probably here either for a conference or for business travel. But we're finding a leisure market, particularly what we're counting on our website visits, is increasing. We think that people are coming in more so from the drive-in market, and we're excited about that. Conventions are cyclical. Sometimes you got some great years, sometimes you have some softer years. But leisure-wise is doing well. But when you look at what it's all broken into, special events that would include LSU Southern football games, things like Bayou Country Superfest, sporting events like the soccer tournament, the Marucci World Series, the leisure traveler that comes in individually, a lot of internationals coming into Baton Rouge, and then you've got the corporate transient and the meetings in.
Yeah. Where does this data come from? I mean, you said it's hard to say, but does Visit Baton Rouge collect data, or then do the hotels collect data about, and then you report it to the lodging associations that you're involved with?
Really, star reports come out, and then I let Paul speak to Visit Baton Rouge, but we try to collect as much data as we can from email addresses, from surveys, from different things, from the hotel level, and I think Paul has their own set of research.
Right. We use Star also. Star is a STR report, and it once a quarter we get it broken down by
market segment.
But then again, that's contingent on what the hotels define it and how it is entered into that. I mean,
And STAR, right, for people who don't know, that's Smith Travel and Research.
That's
That's sort
right.
of the industry standard that collects the data. But is it self-reported by the hotels?
It
Pretty much?
actually, they've taken most of the guesswork out of it. It's pretty much automated now off of your system, so there's no fudging. You can't fudge the numbers. Whatever your associate or your computer puts in, or however the person books online nowadays, it's pretty much breaks that into those segments. So it takes all the guesswork out of it.
how they book. Okay.
Yes.
So why would a leisure traveler want to come to Baton Rouge? I mean, we know we got the Cajun country thing a little bit to our west, and we have the New Orleans thing to our east. What are the big selling points here if you're really just coming for fun with the kids or the wife?
Well, or the husband, from a leisure point of view, we like to think that educationally, anyone lives in the state of Louisiana should visit their state capital. And we've got so many museums and so many attractions here, and we're a very affordable destination. A lot of folks, they come through New Orleans, particularly the internationals, travel on through Baton Rouge, on to Nashville, Memphis, Natchez, etc. So we think we've got the product, we've got affordability, we certainly have availability, and we've got the accessibility on I-10 and I-12.
And Ben, what do you hear from your customers in that
Baton Rouge is
regard?
iconic. It's got such a rich history. From the old state capitol, the old governor's mansion. You got the tallest state capitol in the United States. You've got LSU. You've got Southern. You've got the plantations. Across the river, you've got the sugarcane plantations. I mean, and Baton Rouge is just phenomenal restaurants that people want to come in. They want to enjoy Baton Rouge, say they've been here, and we want to bring them back. And I think part of the exposure too is the events such as Bayou Country Fest, or a few years ago had Miss USA. Baton Rouge is really hitting on the map. People are seeing exactly what we have to offer and coming in to experience it.
Something we have too, and we're very fortunate. Nationally, internationally, when you think of the brand of states, California, Florida, Louisiana, and Texas, those are branded worldwide. And I think the fact that we're sitting in Louisiana and we tout ourselves as an authentic Louisiana experience. We're a little Cajun, we're a little New Orleans. An hour from New Orleans, an hour from Acadiana, and we're the traditional South. So we think that the brand Louisiana is so very important to us.
That's interesting. Which segment of the hotel market do you think is busiest? Is it downtown? You mentioned the ones being developed out by the river, in Ascension Parish and the broader capital region to take advantage of that growing industrial market with
Right.
the recent expansion. And that's a good thing. But, I mean, I know the STAR report breaks it out demographically by geography. Who's doing
I would
best?
think that it's pretty equal within the parish of East Baton Rouge. At times, College Drive area, and that but just because of the volume and the size of the hotels out there, I would think they might be leading the pack, the tab. But I think when we look across the board, it's pretty much equal across the board. Certainly, those hotels that we deal with downtown, College Drive, Millerville, and Blue Bonnet, what have you.
Ben, you were on College Drive for a long time, weren't you, or that segment?
No,
okay.
but very familiar with that area. And as downtown has really risen out of the derelict status that it was, 10 years ago, with the Hilton that opened and the Indigo and then the Hampton Inn and then Watermark, Holiday Inn, and then us. People are beginning to really understand that downtown is a destination to come to. You can park your car, you can walk to restaurants, especially your leisure. You can come, the wedding business down there. So, you're really seeing downtown compete with what I would say 5 years ago the College Drive corridor was leading the market, and I'd say we're pretty neck and neck now.
What downtown has too is the amount of activities on the weekends, so that if somebody's going to come and for a wedding or for any reason stay downtown, there's either live after 5 on Friday or the jazz on Sunday, the festivals, the events. I mean, I was down there this weekend and we had so much going on, and all the visitors happen to be in town and they get to experience that.
That's great. Now, I know some of the new hotels as they were being developed over the past few years and they were pushed for tax incentives, to help them get built. The argument was that we need 1,200 hotel rooms downtown within walking distance to the convention center to be able to attract these larger events. Are we seeing that pay off yet, Paul? Are these conventions coming here, or not
yes,
yet?
but you see, most of our conferences and conventions that come to Baton Rouge are not in the River Center. We have a lot of meeting space over at the Crown Plaza on College Drive. You got the Marriott, which was just renovated with a lot of space. You've got the Renaissance with a lot of space. So when you look at what we have here, particularly with the Crown Plaza, it is large enough to host a lot of state conferences that in Shreveport have to use the convention center. But the convention center is used when we're pursuing larger groups and what have you. But I would say, keep in mind, of the nearly 10,000 rooms or so in East Baton Rouge Parish, 10% are downtown. So we're promoting the entire area when it comes to conferences, leisure, et cetera.
Well, and the convention business, as I understand it, is, as you alluded to, moving away from the big, convention center space with 100,000 square feet of space and going to all-inclusive resorts under one roof, meeting in the hotel. So do we have that inventory to offer?
No, we don't, and it is very challenging when we're going up against a Hyatt Regency in New Orleans that can put everything under one roof, not need busing, and what have you. So that's where some of the incentives come in that we use to enhance those particular events that we do have coming to Baton Rouge.
Okay. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking with Paul Arrigo of Visit Baton Rouge and Ben Blackwell of the Downtown Courtyard Marriott. We'll be right back after this very short break. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking to Paul Arrigo of Visit Baton Rouge and Ben Blackwell of the Downtown Courtyard Marriott. Ben, what about Airbnb? Where and that's I know there's been renewed discussion about it as we look at some of the downtown neighborhoods like Spanish Town and Beauregard Town and what they want to do about short-term rentals. But are they taking a bite out of the hotel market? Do y'all feel it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's not going to go away. And, I think, what we're looking at doing now, especially from the lodging industry, standpoint, is regulating. If the hotels are having to pay taxes, then the Airbnb should have to pay taxes as well. Safety standards, things of that nature. We know you're not going to go away. If you've got a family of 5, would you rather put them in one room or rent a house with multiple rooms? It really depends on what you're looking at, and that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, it's definitely definitely taking a bite.
Are there specific bills before the legislature or that would make the Airbnbs pay the same taxes as the hotel motel?
It's a little confusing in that the last legislature, a hotel was defined as having 2 rooms or more as far as occupancy tax, but the state collects on 1 room or more. It was the way the bill was written, and we're trying to get that cleared away now. First of all, Airbnb is part of our product. People are going to stay there. They're visitors, and we're in the business of bringing visitors to Baton Rouge. What's happening when we're putting money up for the soccer tournament or Bayou Country Super Festival, what have you, we're all about bringing people in, and if they're staying in Airbnbs or what have you, that's wonderful. But we think it's important that they participate in they collect, not pay, collect the tax from the visitor and pass it on to the city and to us so that we can continue to pursue it. And you see this with the Georgia LSU game last fall. We had more people from Georgia there than LSU, and we looked. I think the occupancy was close to 90%. But the number of people that we run into on the street, where you staying? Because I like to find out what hotel, Airbnb. So it's a way of the future. It is part of our product. We're all about it, and we think it's going to grow. So we just want them to participate, just like the hotels do.
Yeah, and I mean, in my experience, at least as a media person, their local people on the ground have been more responsive to working with locals than, for instance, the Uber equivalent or the Lyft equivalent, which they don't seem to be real Uber people in the world, but there do seem to be real Airbnb people that want to work with local communities.
And it's beyond Airbnb. I mean, it's vacation by owner and everything else. So they are the city, our taxing collector, the city of Baton Rouge is our collector of tax, although we're not part of city government. We have to have someone to collect it. City of Baton Rouge collecting, and they're working with Airbnb to make this happen on a voluntary basis, and it's been done in other cities, but it's beyond Airbnb. It's all of the short-term rentals.
Mm-hmm. How much bleed over do we experience from New Orleans, particularly when they have a Final Four or Super Bowl or Sugar Bowl or anything like that? Certainly it seems like a marketing opportunity, but by the same token, I guess...
It is. I can tell you several years ago when we had the Super Bowl in New Orleans, I think it was Baltimore and San Francisco. Well, we recognized that the tickets to the fans don't go out until like 2 weeks or a week prior. So by that time, New Orleans was all packed up. We went social media promoting to try to get those fans, not the big corporate people, the fans to Baton Rouge. We do the same thing for Bayou Classic in New Orleans. We recognize that a lot of people that go to New Orleans for Bayou Classic are Southern University graduates. So we work the social media to try to get them to Baton Rouge. Jazz Fest to a certain extent, but we try to play off of New Orleans and realizing that there is a certain amount of overflow.
Interesting. Ben, tell me how it works with Courtyard. I mean, Courtyard Marriott's such a strong brand and a flag. But like when I go on a hotel website and I want to book a room or I want to get in touch with them, a lot of times you inadvertently get routed to the national company page and you have to go through their 1-800 number and no, that's not who I wanted to talk to. And
Right.
How much, I guess that raises sort of the question, I mean, how much local control do you have? How much are you able to actually market your Courtyard Marriott on 3rd Street downtown versus, have...
It's really on how much you want to spend.
Okay.
And that that's pretty much everywhere you go. But the Marriott brand gives you the opportunity to market locally.
Do they?
They do. We put specific. We have our own photographs. We market everything as much as we can. But of course, they want a piece of the pie as well. So they put. You're going to have to book some. I'd say 50-50. You're going to book somewhat through corporate, the 1-800 number. But make it very accessible to call the hotel directly to book, especially locally with weddings and things of that nature. Everything goes directly through the hotel itself.
Do you get a better deal if you book through the hotel yourself?
If you're looking for group rates, absolutely.
Really? That's certainly good to know.
What I find too when I do the searches that a lot of what do we call them? Third parties pop up.
Yes.
Hotel.com and what have you.
Yeah.
And then they put all those fees on you, right?
Exactly.
And mark up the price.
They do. It's better to go through the 1-800 number or the hotel directly than book
If you
third
can find
party
it, right.
if you can find it.
Sure. How do we have the airport that we need to get the visitors here, be they business or leisure? I mean, and are the lack of direct flights here a disincentive to a group that may be wanting to book a convention here or a meeting or conference?
Well, from a convention point of view, do I wish we had better service to New York and particularly Washington, D.C., where most of the convention planners would see that it would be easier to get here? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Realizing that, for the most part, you've got four hubs that we're working with to Baton Rouge, and that's true with most smaller cities. We tend to pursue regional conferences, drive-in market, drive-in leisure, etc. Now, we recognize that a lot of people come into New Orleans, stay in New Orleans, and they come on to Baton Rouge from New Orleans. That's fine. Baton Rouge Airport, rather than, and this is just my, I fly in and out of Baton Rouge exclusively, I wish they had more choices of times and better connections. But I think you look at any small market now, you're up against the same issues.
Yeah. What do you think, Ben?
I agree. And I can say that the airport has gotten better over the past 6 years. They've done some great renovations. They've expanded. I agree with Paul. I fly in and out of Baton Rouge exclusively, and I would like to see a few more flights, some better times, some better connections. But overall, I think we have a great airport. And two, with New Orleans going under renovations and some of their terminals closing, I think it's time that we take advantage of some of that as well.
Mm-hmm. I've referred to you being the former president of the Hotel Motel Association, we don't hear about motels very much anymore. Is that just a word that is obsolete for branding reasons because they sounded too downscale, or
You still have motels out there.
Like a
but,
Motel 6,
Yeah,
but-
Motel 6. But you still have some independence as well. But I think for the most part, your brands have really upscaled the hotel experience. As prices go up, as a consumer, you expect more. And so you want to, escalate that experience and offer more. So I think that the term motel is pretty much going away.
Mm-hmm. And what's it like running a hotel? I mean, I know y'all don't have huge banquet and convention services at the Courtyard, but I mean, you've got so many different constituent groups, and you've got a huge employee base, and
Sure.
I know a lot of them. I mean, you have immigrant workforce, maybe even language barriers sometimes. You got
Sure.
to juggle a lot of balls.
You do. You have to juggle a lot of balls, but it's fun. I think that's what's always drawn me to the business. Is it's a different experience daily. I'm not one of those people that can sit behind a desk and type out a spreadsheet day in and day out. And, I'm up on my feet. I think the most rewarding part is interacting with guests on a daily basis, coming from all over the United States and making their stay, phenomenal wherever you're at. I've been doing this 17 years now. I came from South Carolina, worked in that market for several years before coming to Baton Rouge, and it's just a rewarding experience, making someone's day, whether it be a business traveler or a leisure traveler.
What are your predictions for the top 2 or 3 trends we'll see in the next 3 to 5 years?
Technology in not only marketing, social media marketing, and we're getting very involved with that. As technology increases and the need to learn and educate, I think education as far as conferences, et cetera, it will grow. I think the leisure market will grow, but I think in a different way. I think, we always talk about millennials and what have you. I think the travel may be a lot different. I think the standards that some of the travelers are looking for will evolve.
Well, Paul Arrigo and Ben Blackwell, I wish we had more time to continue this interesting discussion. I've enjoyed having you both on the show, and I know how hard you both worked trying to grow the local market for leisure and business travelers. So thanks for sharing your stories and insights with us today and for being here on Out to Lunch. My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Paul Arrigo of Visit Baton Rouge and Ben Blackwell of the Downtown Courtyard Marriott. You can find out more about Visit Baton Rouge and the Courtyard Marriott by going to the links on our website, itsbatonrouge.la. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti. And our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino, Dave Winwood, and Ann Edelman. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on our website, itsbatonrouge.la, and on our It's Baton Rouge Facebook page. These photos were taken by Carrie Hosford, and you can find more of Carrie's photos at carriehosford.com. You can hear this show and past episodes of Out to Lunch wherever you get podcasts and at itsbatonrouge.la. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansur's for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch Baton Rouge is recorded live over lunch at Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansur's is open for lunch daily 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.